Welcome in, guys, to the Full Force Fathers podcast. So glad to be here with you today. Back for episode 23, the great Michael Jordan with the Chicago Bulls.
You didn't say it, I was.
Yeah, I knew someone was going to say it, whether it was you or me, so I beat you to it. Just a great number, 23.
No doubt about it. It's the best. He's the best ever.
Oh, hey, and we could do a whole podcast episode on that, but there's nobody close. I don't argue that with anybody. The LeBrons, the Kobe's, God rest his soul. Bill Russell, who just passed, God rest his soul. Yeah, he may have won the most championships, but to be in the most dominant form that any basketball player ever could be, it was him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the way he just controlled the game, the way he elevated his teammates to be unequivocally the best versions of themselves. I mean, he's the best. He's the best ever. He's the GOAT. He'll always be the GOAT, and I don't care what anybody says about it.
If you follow the show, you know that Dave and I both have read Tim Grover's books. Tim Grover was his coach, put him on the map, and I'll tell you, I don't care about the punching teammates and the petty bullshit. The dude was just a straight winner. The world needs more winners, and that's what he was,
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So we got a good show on tap for you today. We got a couple topics we want to hit, and then just some housekeeping notes to go over. But the first thing we're going to start with, as usual, Dave, we're going to jump right into the Bible verse, and this one comes from Luke chapter 6, verse 48, and it says, "He is like a man building a house, who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock, and when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it because it had been well built." Now, that's a little bit longer verse, but it essentially, when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house that he built and dug deep to build, and it just couldn't shake it. All right. And it all stems from, well, let's just kind of jump into my thoughts of the verse. We'll get your thoughts on the verse, and it kind of ties right into our first topic today. My thoughts on the verse are this. It takes a long time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to build strong fundamental values, whether that's fitness, finance, faith, just all the three things that we talk about here on the Full Force Fathers podcast, and to build those strong fundamental values and beliefs. But I'll tell you, Dave, once they're in place, it is a heck ton harder to break them than it is when you're building them, when you feel weak financially, when you feel weak physically, when you feel weak in your faith. It takes a long time to build those up. But boy, when they're set in stone like that, to quote the verse from Luke, that raging river can come and smash you, and you're standing strong at the end of it.
Yeah, that's 100% true. For me, on the financial side, that couldn't be more true in the principles that we live our lives, right? With no debt. Back, 10 years ago, when Casey and I had a monumental amount of debt, it felt like we were standing on an itty-bitty tiny rock as that river was pushing itself around us. Mm-hmm. And it felt like just hanging on for dear life. You were in the ride of the river, like wherever it went, that's where you went because you had no fucking choice. When we got rid of that, everything changed. And as we started going through that process, the foundation started to get stronger and stronger. And those emotions and those feelings of being thrown around and tossed and all these different things happening to you around you weren't just happening to you anymore. You were controlling the situation. And as you eliminate the debt, those things go away. As you build your emergency fund, it strengthens even more. As you start putting into your retirement account, it strengthens even more. And those are the things, as you build that foundation, if you have to start at the ground and you have to work your way up. You can't just come in and live the good life. Great. I got a huge salary. Things are awesome. I'm spending money. Things are good. Yeah, it's on credit cards, but I have no savings. None. Mm-hmm. What happens when something goes wrong? You don't have a foundation. You've got to take those things and build them from the ground up, because that's what's going to help you in times of need. When that river does come rushing at you, it is going to part. It is going to part around you because you are strong and you are able to weather that storm.
Yeah, it kind of like with your foundation of finance and personal finance and your family life, and where you were to where you were. It's almost like you almost yeah. The Bible verse says the water hits it and it rolls around it. It also is like over time, as you kept building those principles, you almost built a bridge over the water, right? So the troubled water was just going under the bridge, and you had this beautifully built bridge. Now, with no more worries, you never had to worry about the river anymore because you were above it. You were above that downfall, that pitfall that could hit you. And for me, the same kind of thing with fitness. I've been fit a long, long time, and I think my principle, foundational, whatever word you want to use, fundamental principles are there for my fitness where, listen, shit happens, right? I could get sick. I could break a bone. But the foundations are so set in place that river of emotion or a physical injury is not going to derail me. I'm not just going to fall off the cliff and say, oh, man, I pulled my hamstring. I'm never going to be healthy or fit ever again. I'm just going to let the river take me on down the stream, Yeah. And that really ties us into to topic one. Topic one today is about financial literacy. Fundamental finance. When I said that to you, you're like, what are you even talking about? So I was looking back and like, all right, financial literacy, whatever you call it, because it's something that you're so passionate about. And your big goal is you're going to have financial literacy in schools. So I really want to pick your brain a little bit. But before I start picking your brain on this stuff, I want to read some statistics that I saw. And it really is, it's wild, some of these numbers. All right. 58% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Does that sound about right to you, Dave, in the financial space? Does that sound right? Is that too low? Is that too high?
I think it's a little low. I think that number is a little low. I think more people live paycheck to paycheck.
Okay. The second statistic.
But it's a staggering number, right? Yeah. It's that right there. I won't go down the rabbit hole. I know you want to rattle through the statistics, but I mean, the fact that 58, even if it's 58%, if that's truly the number, if that many people are living paycheck to paycheck, don't know where, if something happens to their income, if that paycheck doesn't come in, they have nothing to pay their bills, nothing to buy food. That's staggering to me.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep going.
That's crazy. The second statistic, this one is really kind of shocking to me. Because this is a dream of mine. This is a financial goal of mine. And I look at this number and it's like, wow. It is 30% of people making over $250,000 per year. For some reason, $250,000 is a goal of mine. But 30% of those people, Dave, that are making $250K live paycheck to paycheck. Now that one is even more staggering than the first one.
Well, and it goes off of what we just talked about, right? It's building that foundation. You could, if you don't build the foundation and establish those principles in your own life of how to handle money, it doesn't matter if you make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $250,000 or $1 million a year. You're gonna operate the same way. You just got more of it. That's why you see so many professional athletes that end up going broke after they're done playing because they don't have financial literacy. They've never been taught it. They don't have people in their corner to help them. So they make a shit ton of money, but they spend a shit ton of money. And it just comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out. So you know what? That one doesn't surprise me that much because people aren't taught this in school, right? It goes back to teaching financial literacy in high school, so that when people do make that income, the good that they can do with it, or they can put it away. I mean, if you made $250,000, how fast you could save for your retirement and how early you could retire and enjoy your life.
Yeah. And
that's what people don't realize. So, yeah.
And a follow up on that $250K, I saw an interesting poll question. I don't know, somewhere, one of the social medias, probably Twitter. And it said, would you rather be the guy that makes $250K a year and spends $245? Or would you rather be the guy that makes 80 and only spends 40 of it?
Absolutely, the guy who makes 80 and spends 40 of it. No question about it.
It's interesting to think.
For me,
that's what is that? That's $20K a month. That's a lot of money to make. You can have a real nice house and a real nice car if that's what you want, or whatever the finer things in life that you want. If you're blowing through that, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to kick through. This one is going to hit home because this was me. This was you. 56% of people cannot cover a $1,000 emergency bill.
$1,000 is nothing today. It's nothing. And, I mean, what does $1,000 even get you, right? I mean, it's not going to fix your car if it goes into the shop for anything substantial. right? You can't even put tires on your car for $1,000 in most cases. You know, the air condition goes out, the water heater, like $1,000 today isn't what it was years ago. So that's even crazy. It makes it even crazier, right? Because really that number should probably be at least probably $3,000.
Yeah, it's what you said.
To be able to cover like an unexpected bill, because it's such a little amount, and the fact that people don't have that sitting in a savings account, it's sad. It's really sad.
And you mentioned it when I think we did our baby steps episode, and you're like, you know what, that emergency fund should not be 1,000 anymore. It should be at least 2,000. You know, when you're saving for that first initial emergency fund before you start that snowball and paying off the debt, you probably should save 2 or 3, not 1. Because, like you said, $1,000 doesn't get you nothing anymore. $1,000, I see it every day. I do mortgages for a living. $1,000 doesn't even pay 1 mortgage payment a month. So, you know, it's a scary number. And then this one, really for you, average credit card debt in a home is $6,100.
I'm actually surprised it's not higher. I would have thought that number would have been higher. But it's still really high. $6,100. That's a lot of money. That's just rolling, because it's not like people are paying that every month. I mean, that's just sitting there. It's sitting there accumulating interest. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that's sitting out there. And I've got one statistic I just pulled up. It's kind of related to this one. 77 million Americans, 35% of adults, have debt in collections reported on their credit report.
That means 35 out of every 100 people that apply for a mortgage have a great chance of denial because they have something in collections. Not everybody, but a good chance. That's a big number.
More than 1 out of every 3 people.
Yeah.
That's collections. I mean, these numbers, and you know what? The crazy thing is these numbers are only getting worse right now.
It's only
getting better. They're only getting worse. Inflation, the way it is right now, is driving people to spend more money than they were before. They haven't built the foundation. They don't have a strong foundation. They don't have a strong emergency fund. So what are they doing? They're putting it on credit cards. All these numbers are going to go up.
Yeah, and for example, for if you're first time listeners, Dave and I have both experienced being underwater with credit cards. So we're not just saying this shit to say this. We've both experienced it. Now, from a personal standpoint, I had roughly $16,000 in credit card debt with minimum payments, $300, $200, and worked my way out of that and finally paid all those off. What were your credit card numbers at, Dave?
Credit cards themselves were at about 45,000.
Holy smokes, dude!
Just themselves.
That's wild.
And there was a couple auto loans and some student loans for Casey. But yeah, we had about 45,000 in credit cards. It was, and I mean, that 45,000 was at, anywhere from 16 to 23% interest.
Just think about that. The amount of people. And if you're listening to the show and you don't know, or, it's hard to admit. It's like an alcoholic. It's hard to admit if you have a spending problem or you put money on credit cards. I want you to think about it for a second. The power that you allow that little plastic 2-inch, what is it, a 2-inch by 3-inch card that you allow, and even worse now because cell phones, you can literally tap your phone and pay for shit. You're allowing it to literally derail your life because you'd want to buy something or you have to have something or, it's wild. These numbers are wild. And the only thing that I can really say about it, and I want to segue into the questions that I want to ask you about this, unless you have something else to put out there first. I can just say people really suck at money, and there's far too much debt in this world. I mean, look, we live in a country that promotes it. Look at the United States. How many trillions and trillions upon trillions of dollars is this country in debt? We live in a world where debt is like it's a badge of honor. It's a badge of bullshit, is what it is.
And credit cards are the most marketed product in the history of our country for a reason. Yeah. Because the credit card companies make a ton of money on them. Now these people want to talk, I get airline miles and I get a free ticket. Cool. Yeah. You got a free ticket. that cost you however much in interest in the course of the year. You could have bought tickets for your entire family to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Stupid. But, you said, people spend a lot of money, they overspend, they got problems. And that is a big part of it. But a big part of it is that people haven't been taught. Mm-hmm. They haven't been taught how to handle money. And debt has been one of those things. I mean, I had it in my own life. You're going to have a car payment for the rest of your life. Oh, credit cards, you got to have a credit score. It's important. Make sure you put stuff on a credit card. It's pushed down people's throats as soon as they're 18 and they can get a credit card or, buy a car. Like these things, this is what society believes is the truth, or what they've been made to believe is the truth, and people do it and they don't understand what it's really doing to them, the detriment that it's causing them long term.
Yeah, and they promote credit cards. I mean, the two things you see the most on TV: credit card commercials and pharmaceutical companies. The two biggest scams in the history of the entire world. But they promote these credit card companies with celebrities, right? I know Kevin Hart does one of them. It's just to name one. And these 18-year-old kids that are in college, right? The first thing I did when I walked onto campus my freshman year, there was a table right there. Sign up for your MasterCard and get your T-shirt, right? It's unbelievable.
T-shirt. Yeah.
The amount of people that were signing up to get a T-shirt. And then every one of those kids went to the freaking bar or went somewhere and jacked that stupid thing up. But like I said, the power of that little piece of plastic to control you is outrageous. And I want to ask you a few questions because this is very passionate,
sure.
A very passionate topic for you. And this is going to be a question. I don't want you to take too long on it because we could record for an hour. How does this problem get fixed? It's a very broad. I mean, go whichever way you want to go on the answer, but it's very broad. How does it get fixed? Like, what direction can we even turn to fix this problem?
Yeah, well, there's a couple different places it can be fixed. The first place that can be fixed is with you, with yourself, with your family, right? It's digging in. It's like you said, it's admitting like, oh yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. Or I struggle here. Or I have a problem here. And it's working on it at home. There are financial coaches out there that are able to help. I'm one of them. If anyone has questions or wants to bounce ideas off or just wants coaching in general, reach out to me. I don't charge for it. It's free. I love talking about it. I love helping people. So there's financial coaches all over the place. It's worth investing in that. If you do find a financial coach that even charges money, because there's people that do, and it's a service worth paying for. Find the money to pay for it because it's going to help you. It's going to put you on a position to build a stronger foundation. And when you start understanding those principles, being able to teach them to your kids at a young age, that's why we're here. Full force fathers, we live a full force life. We're teaching our kids these things so that they can grow up to be full force and live a full force life. So you can teach them at a very young age and build those principles with them so that they don't have the same problems that you had. The other place that it needs to be fixed is it needs to be fixed in schools. There are no real consistent classes about financial literacy in school. And it is a huge problem. It's a disservice to our kids. It's done intentionally. I believe that it's done intentionally, and that's what needs to change. We need leadership that can stand up and say this is important. This is going into the classroom. But the thing is, people want kids to come out and they want them to spend a shit ton on student loans, get overwhelmed with it, become dependent on the government for assistance and all these types of things. It's a big play that's happening, and you can't tell me that it's not. But that's where it needs to start. It needs to start in the schools. We need to have classes in high school where kids can go in and find out what debt is. What is good debt? What is bad debt? What's the difference between a house debt, car debt, credit card debt? What are the differences on those? And how do I live my life without accumulating debt? What are the ways to do that? And that's where it needs to start. It needs to start in the classroom, in schools, and at home.
Now, follow up on the school, because that was my second question about financial literacy in school. What is the appropriate age that a financial literacy course should be taught? Is it later when they become a little older, or should they? Because I know when we're with my kids, elementary school, you learn about counting money, pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters and dollars, and you learn about counting money, a basic addition and subtraction to money. But at what point in your idea does does a financial literacy class need to be taught mandatory wise? Is it something every year in high school? Where do you believe in your heart that you think it makes the most sense?
Yeah. I think it's a 4-year program in high school. I think it's a class that you take every year. It's just like you take phys ed, or you take art, you take music. It's the same thing. You go to financial literacy class. I don't think you need to do it in middle school. I don't think kids are there yet. I don't think they could grasp some of the concepts of a true financial literacy course. Now, that being said, you should be doing that at home. I mean, when my kids they turned the age of 3, we started doing a chore chart and started teaching them about the value of money. And now, Bryce is 6 and Kendall's 9, and they buy their own things the majority of the time because they work for their stuff and they understand what it's like to work for something that they really want. They go to the store, they pay with their own money, they get their own change, they put it in the different envelopes, they put it in save, give, and spend. When we go to church, they bring their own money to give to church. When Christmas comes around, they get their angel under the tree that they buy a Christmas present for. So you got to do those things at home when they're young. But when you get into school, I think it's high school. I think it's 4 years building up. When they become a freshman in school, you start getting into it. That's also giving the kids time to figure out a way to go to school debt-free and to not have to just take out student loans. They're not driving yet. So the thought of getting a car payment, they don't even really know what that is yet. So I think that's a good time to start that.
Does financial literacy in high school, does it teach is a topic, and this is something I know they're kind of obsolete and like an antique. Do you teach balancing checkbooks in a financial literacy class? Is that kind of under it, or is that something that doesn't really fall into the financial literacy class?
Yeah, that's part of it. Absolutely. You know, how many people actually balance checkbooks anymore, right? It's very different than it used to be.
Right.
But the principle is still the same. I get a paycheck. My paycheck this week or this biweekly is $2,000. I have $2,000 to spend, right? Okay. What does that need to go to? So you got to have a budget. So you got to teach that. But yeah, if you make a transaction on your debit card or if you write a check, you need to be balancing that somewhere, right? Because you don't want to get to the end of the month and now you've got an overdraft fee. So it might not be check balancing, but yeah, learning that principle. I mean, it seems so ridiculous to talk about it, but it's the truth. Most people don't do it. I'd love to, and I should have looked this up, what the statistic is for the amount of people that have overdraft fees. And it's got to be staggering because most people don't know how to figure out how much money they've spent because they don't pay attention to it. They just swipe it. Yeah. People are so used to swipe, whatever it is. And you end up overdrafting.
And the banks promote it. The banks promote no overdraft fees if you come to this bank. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you purposely want these people to go upside down. How many commercials promote that?
Yeah.
There are tons of banks out there, zero overdraft fees. It's like, are you kidding me? You literally are promoting people to drain their bank accounts.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's the stat. This is from 2019. Banks took $11 billion in overdraft fees.
Oh my Jesus.
$11 billion.
You could buy the Dallas Cowboys twice with that kind of money.
It's insane.
That's a what, dude?
Because people don't know how to. It's because people don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to balance their account. Yeah. So yeah, that is absolutely a part of it. Needs to be a part of financial literacy. What we could do with $11 billion, we could put it into most schools for that.
Yeah, and to close out this topic of financial literacy, you know, I don't know if this is an open-ended question. Do we ever see this ever ending, or is this just going to be a problem as long as, like, I know it's not going to be our generation, late 30s. Our generation is like their consumer credit card. Maybe our kids. Do we ever see an end of it, or do you think this just spirals the way it's going, though, you know, for forever, essentially? I
mean, the numbers are going to be the numbers are going to continue to be bad. The majority of people don't want to change, and they don't believe that they can change. I do believe that the numbers will come down. This is a mission of my life to get financial literacy into schools. And as part of Full Force Fathers, that's going to be something that we do. And we're going to make a damn strong effort to change it so that these kids that come out at least have a fighting chance of it. Now, people are always, just like there's always alcoholics, there's always drug abusers, there's always going to be people that, abuse it and don't pay attention and think they know better anyway. But if we can change it with a good portion of the youth that are out there, that'll be something that I look back on and would be very excited about because, but at the end of the day, dude, if we could save 10 kids from living their life like this, to me, that's worth it. So every singular kid that learns these principles, whether that's through financial literacy in their school or through their fathers that listen to our podcast and are like, yeah, that's something I need to do. I want to set my kid up for success. To me, that's a win. And every one person, that our society's better off for that.
Absolutely. It's a good way to close out this topic. So let's hop right into topic 2. And topic 2, I don't know. We listened to Andy Frisell a lot in his podcast, and topic 2 came about he had a show, I don't know, probably a week ago or so from now. And it was about, he had Luke Ray on, who's the strength and conditioning coach. I think Georgia Tech is where it is. And it was just a great motivational show. Everybody go listen to it. And there were so many quotes that came out of that show that, as I was doing my morning workout, I was listening to it, and I found myself running faster, sweating more, angry, pissed off, happy, visualizing. You know how sometimes you pick up a book or you listen to a show and it just freaking hits you, and it strikes every freaking chord possible. And that episode was it, and it just made me instantly come in and start typing down show notes. Okay, so the notes that I kind of put in here, the topic it's a broad topic. It's about digging deeper, and there was a topic. A quote in the show that said, and I think it was either Andy Sal or Luke Ray himself that said this quote, and it said, "Winners do everything they can and think that it's not enough. Losers do what they think is enough and then say they did everything that they could." And that quote was like a punch in the gut. And I called myself out. I said, you know what? I can work harder. I can dig deeper, What thoughts? Just boom. Like, what do you think? Like, everybody can dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, no question. Everybody can dig a little bit deeper. And it hit home with me too. I listened to the same thing and we chatted about that quote afterwards because, as I'm venturing into my new business, I have tough days and I think about it. And then I heard that and I look back, I was like, Jesus, I tell myself that, half the time that's what I'm saying to myself. I can do more. Mm-hmm. And it did hit home. And we as fathers need to do more. We need to look at ourselves and really be honest with ourselves. We're the only ones that can be honest with each other and with ourselves. Nobody else. You can tell somebody you're doing everything under the sun to get something done, but are you really? You have to look at yourself in the mirror and determine whether or not you're actually doing that and whether or not you're being truthful to yourself. And if you're not, it's time to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I did and what we both kind of did, and, we could go down and just ramble on about digging deeper. And are you really digging deeper or are you not? It's really down. It's up to you, nobody else. But what I did and I thought would be a cool idea because we mixed financial, we mixed some fitness in it. We came up with a list of, I say a short list of places where we can improve without it affecting our jobs, our families, our finances negatively. Actually, it will affect them positively in your daily life in all categories. So I have the list up in front of me and I want to just go down this list and if there's one on this list that you want to kind of talk a little bit about, then we'll hop into it. But the first one, and it starts right in the beginning of the day. Wake up earlier. It does not affect anybody but yourself, and it only can bring positive results. Okay? Get up earlier and exercise. Get up earlier, prepare your day. Okay? Get up earlier, work on a side hustle. All right. Some mornings I find myself in front of the computer at 4:00. We're typing show notes out. Okay. That's number one. Get up earlier. You want to dig a little deeper. Everyone has the same 24 hours. You've heard that 100 times. The way to gain 30 hours a month, which you're not gaining any more time because time is finite, right? There's 24 hours in a day. If you want to gain 30 hours in a month, get up 1 hour earlier. there's nothing but positive effects that come with getting up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, this is a fitness one. So number 1 would be a category, Dave, what would you say? Everything, right? Financial, fitness, faith, all that.
That's just life. I think that's everything.
That's just life. This one comes from a fitness point of view, and it's the second topic I put down. Eat less at your meals. So if you are someone that's struggling with weight, or someone that's hitting a plateau, or you're trying to lose 20, lost 10, and now you're stuck, okay? This is something that can, once again, only positively affect you. Eat less at your meals. Intake less calories will help you lose more weight. That a lot of guys say, I'm desperate to get to 200. It's always a number, right? You're desperate to get to this, okay? Well, one of the easiest ways without ever even noticing that you want to get there faster is to eat less, okay? One less scoop of something on your plate. If you have mashed potatoes, instead of 3 scoops, make it 2. If you have a big T-bone steak, eat 3/4 of it. Don't eat the whole thing. If you still like dessert, Scottie Pippen's famous for saying it. If you get a piece of cheesecake, you don't eat the whole piece. You have 2 bites of it, and then that's it, okay? That's the second topic, all right? That's from a fitness standpoint. One from a financial standpoint. Stopping at the coffee shop every morning on your way to work. $4 to $5, Dave, adds up every day. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a huge one because it's a budget buster. It is just taking away from your ability to save. I mean, you can make probably a better cup of coffee at home for a tiny fraction of the cost. So, you don't need to give Starbucks your hard-earned money. Go and buy coffee from a great company that does some great things with their money and online or something or in the store, and make it at home. Just make it at home and save that money every month because you can do something so much better with it.
Yeah, I mean, do the math. And I think I'm being generous, $4 to $5. You go to Starbucks, you're probably spending $6 or $7 because you're going to grab the freaking scone or the cookie with it. You're maybe all of a sudden you're spending $10 and you're not even paying attention to it. Do the math. $10 a day.
Yeah.
If you do it, if you only do it Monday through Friday, that's $50 a week.
And if you're doing that, and chances are if you're doing that, you're probably getting lunch out at work too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Another one. This one comes from a professional side. I'm in a sales-related industry, so are you. Make 5 more phone calls or texts or emails every day at work. They add up just like $5 a day, 5 phone calls a day. It adds up over time, which is going to build better relationships with clients and coworkers. And it's also going to bring you in, depending on what kind of industry, and it's going to bring you more money. Unless you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, you don't make phone calls. Nothing wrong with flipping burgers at McDonald's. I just saw an ad, you can make $20 an hour flipping burgers at McDonald's. You will, if you're in a professional-based business, make more phone calls. Put more out there into the world.
I mean, for me, we're both in these service businesses, right? I started doing this. I started putting, making sure I had 5 quality conversations every single day, and what a difference it's made. Yes, does it help bring in business? Sure, but it strengthening those relationships with people is invaluable. I mean, just like there were people that I hadn't talked to in a very long time, and I reached out to, and they were so grateful that I called, and we had a great conversation. We caught up, let them know what I was doing, what they were up to, and it was great. And the ability to stay in touch and do that, it's just there's so many benefits to that, especially in a time now where most people just communicate through social media, through a like button or something like that. Actually having a physical conversation with someone goes so far, and people appreciate it so much. So that's one that I think everybody should, whether you're doing it on a business side or just on a personal side, go through your phone, just start going down the list every day, call 5 people, just check in, say hello, and see how they're doing.
Yeah, start in alphabetical order and just go straight down. Another one, back to the health and fitness side. And if these are all over the place, this was my thoughts out loud. I wanted to put a list together of ways to dig deeper. Replace all drinks with water. It's actually a great challenge. See if you can go a whole day. Most people cannot go an entire day and drink only plain old fashioned water. You will cut out. I'm not a big. I don't I don't like when people drink their calories in the first place because it doesn't do anything for you, and it's a waste of calories. Just like alcohol is a waste of calories. I don't think drinking calories is a good thing. That doesn't mean don't have a protein shake after you work out, but don't make a calorie drink as part of a meal. Okay. Drink more water. Do it one day. Do 1 day. Then do 2 days. You will literally replace so many empty calories and sugars and crap if you just drink water. Okay. Another one. This one, Dave, you added to the list. Save $10 a week for a month, then $20 for a week for a month, and keep on working on your savings. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but it's just a little bit of digging a little bit deeper. Think about it. Let's put those two together. The $10 you spend at Starbucks in the morning, save it instead.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just, would be 1 day at Starbucks, right? So yeah, if you're able to save $10 a week, just to start, and then once you start getting comfortable with that, increase it to 20, increase it to 30, increase it to 40. Before you know it, you're going to have savings as a part of your habits, as a part of your foundation. And then you just start getting into that habit and you start saving, whether it be to your emergency fund or to pay off more of your bills and get rid of those, or maybe it's to save for retirement. You have to start somewhere. So start with 10. If you can't start with 10, start with 5. Just start with something.
Yeah. That's number 6 on the list. And number 7, stop eating out, start making food at home. You've heard me say that. Dave said that 100,000 times. Stop eating out. That saves you money and it's healthier. Okay. Number 8, read every day. All right. Don't read garbage fiction. There's a time and place for that. Read something nonfiction, something you're going to educate yourself on a topic, something that's going to make you smarter. Number 9, challenge yourself to no spend days. And Dave, you're a big proponent of this. How many days a month can you go without spending $1?
Yeah. It depends on how locked in I am. If I make it a concerted effort and I say this, I'm going to do this, you can easily go 16 to 18 days a month without spending any money. But you got to be diligent about it. You got to say, all right, this day I'm going to go do all my shopping and get this done. I'm going to focus on this. But what it does is it cuts out spending the extra money. It stops your trips to Starbucks. It stops your trips out for lunch. It, instead of stopping every day at the grocery store to buy food, you plan for the meal. You do meal planning. It helps your fitness. It helps your finances. It helps all of that because when you go to the grocery store and you just stop in every day, maybe you're hungry after work, so you grab a candy bar, you grab this, you grab that, something that you don't need. It's not good for you. You're spending more money. So focusing on that and giving yourself those goals is huge because it's going to save so much money over the course of the month.
Yep. And then the final thing we put on the list, 10, schedule your day out. Make a plan. Don't wing every day. Schedule it. Yeah. Schedule it in. What time you waking up? What time you eating breakfast? What are you eating?
Yeah. This is a big one for me. And I picked this up with the coach that I worked with, that experience. And it's setting your day. I have my calendar every day. I know when I'm getting up, and then I schedule in my runs, and then I schedule in my day, my work day. This is what I'm doing. I even schedule in getting the kids ready for school. There's a chunk of time there. And the whole day is broken down into 30 minute to hour and a half increments. And it goes all the way up till dinner time. And then I say, at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, dinner family time. And I take that all the way till 8, until the kids are in bed. And then beyond that, I can figure it out. But my day is literally blocked from 5:15 when I wake up till 8 o'clock when we put the kids to bed. And it makes a big difference because you're able to focus on those things. It keeps you on track. It's so easy. You get through the scroll zone and you just start finding something on your phone and you go down a rabbit hole. You're like, I can go do this. I need to run to the store. I'll go do this. No, you have something to do. You have something to focus on. Focus on it. And if you need to do something else, you schedule it into your day.
Absolutely. Yep. Plan your day out, schedule your day out, however you want to put it. So that's 10 things right there. Those are 10 easy, great things you can do to dig a little bit deeper. Okay. Because we all know deep down inside, we can dig a little bit deeper. Okay. So that was topic 2 today. We're going to finish the show here. We're going to get to our book recommendation in a second. But I did want to just go over some, I don't know, I call them house cleaning notes, whatever. Just, little things about what's going on in the world, what's new with Dave and I in our life. Hop right into it, Dave. 75 hard. Day 46 for me. Go ahead.
70. Yeah, it's been going great, man. 75 hard. It's just it helps with all these things that we were talking about. It helps you stay focused, on track. Mm-hmm. You read every day. You're drinking water every day. You're eating well every day. Like it's just such a great program. This is the first time we've ever both been in it at the same time, mm-hmm. and it's been great.
Yeah, and we've done a 75 hard episode before. Go back and check it out. But I do want to touch on 75 hard really quick because I feel like this is my third time going through the 75 days. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Those ones I've never done. Phase 3, you have. But this is my third time through the original 75 hard program. And just some notes I jotted down. I feel like I improve on something every single time that I do with it. The first time through, which was January of 2021, I really, really, really got good and improved on diet and like cutting excess fat. And that, like the diet portion was where I really excelled and I saw the most growth. The second time that I did it, which was January of this year, so we're talking 8 months ago, I really honed in on the time management skills and the scheduling, planning my day out, scheduling the day totally through, blocking it out from sun up to sundown. And then this third time, it's weird. I'm really working on getting better at work. That probably may sound confusing, but I'm getting more accomplished. I'm limiting distractions. I'm more productive with my career, my job. And, I owe that. The power list is a big part of how I've really figured out, dude. Every day, 5 critical tasks, a W and an L in my book. Got to circle one at the end of the day, and you got to be brutally honest with yourself. But those are the, I really feel each time I've done it, I've learned something new or I've gotten better at a specific area of my life.
Yeah, I would agree. This is the second time that I've fully gone through the 75 days. And yeah, I think the first time it was about surviving for me and getting through it and doing all those things. I've gotten I'm so much more focused this time through on what I'm doing, and intentional about it. And the things that you got to do during the day don't seem that complicated this time around. But it's about scheduling them into the day and making sure that, you're in a routine and you're doing them when you're supposed to for yourself. I found the days that I have the hardest time are when I don't stick to the routine. And I do have days like that, mm-hmm. but you end up getting it done. But it seems more like crazy, right? Trying to go through the process. So I definitely feel like this time I'm much more just like focused, intentional about everything that I do in my day, not just the 75 hard program.
Yeah, that's good. Well, there's your 75 hard update. How about any trips, anything like that planning coming up? We're heading up north here, heading up to Connecticut for a wedding in the family, and then gonna head to Vermont for a few days. Back in good old New England, So, but it'll be fall. It'll be September, so the weather should be better. And the foliage, the Andean's happy to see some leaves change in color and some 40-degree nights and whatnot again.
Yeah, you're going back at my favorite time of year. That's fall in New England's amazing. Hopefully you get a few good weather days while you're there, but it's beautiful. It's the best time of the year to be there. Yeah. For me, I may be coming your way, which would be exciting because we could do a podcast in person again together. Yeah. Possible trip out there in a couple weeks. And then I've got the football season starting in 3 weeks, which I'm excited about. I'll be in Austin every weekend, working on Texas Game Day there, directing that show, and I'm excited because I love directing television shows, and I love Texas, so it's a good spot to be.
That's good. And then one topic and notable newsworthy topic about a week ago now, just under a week ago, the former. Once again, we don't get super political, but if you've listened to us talk, you know which way we lean. So. The former president of the United States had his house raided by the FBI. Like, dude, what wild times we are living in right now. Like, it's hilarious, dude. I find it hilarious that this is the world we live in now.
You know I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm just going to give one example. Okay. He had his house raided because he supposedly brought home some sensitive material that he wasn't supposed to bring home. Okay. We still don't know the list of people that was on Jeffrey Epstein's island and the client list from Ghislaine Maxwell. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a big problem there for me. Okay. Sure, he might have brought home some sensitive material. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Who the hell really knows what the story is there? But I think that should go and tell everybody what the fucking problem is right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're focused on one thing over here that quite honestly doesn't fucking matter. Mm-hmm. And someone who's a pedophile and has a list of high profile people who are pedophiles and did things to children, that should piss everybody the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that this is the world that we live in right now.
Yeah. You're 100% right. You know, it's wild to think that's the hatred. Like I said, I've said this before. I wish I owned as much real estate in people's heads as that dude does. Trump owns so much real estate in people's heads. I love it, dude. And then the other thing, how about this new, I call it the Inflation Accelerator Act. Congress calls it the Inflation Reduction Act. I call it the Inflation Accelerator Act. Just passed. 87,000 new IRS agents. Okay, that makes. How does that bring inflation down?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. All I know is I hope everybody's taxes are in line because they're about to be audited.
Yeah.
So it's good luck.
It is just. It's insane to me.
It's unbelievable. Hey, how about this, right? Gun violence. We talked about gun violence it's such a big thing, right? Everybody up in arms about the gun violence in schools. Why don't we take those 87,000 people and why don't we take 87,000 jobs and put them as resource officers in schools?
It's a good idea.
How about that?
That'd be too easy.
Did anybody think of that? I mean, it seems obvious, but probably not because what's really important?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Again, this is the world that we live in right now. Yeah. And why we're here, why we're trying to change shit.
Yeah. Hey, there's 3 topics for you. Little off the cuff going on there. Dave, what is our book recommendation for episode 23?
Dude, this book is amazing. It's one of the best books I've ever read. I've been super excited to talk about it on the show. And it's You've Got This, Unlocking the Hero Dad Within. I'm going to try and get it so the light's not all over it. There we go. And it's by Dr. Meg Meeker, which this is the second book we reviewed of hers. And this one is absolutely amazing. And I recommend that every single father go out and get it. Either go to the library like we talked about last week and see if you can get it there, or buy it. This is one that you will want to keep on your bookshelf. It's going to be one that you want to probably read every 6 months. It is incredible on how it just dives into the minds of children and their relationship with their fathers. And the things that as fathers we need to realize and be cognizant of. There's so many things, little things that I've changed in the way I go about my business every single day because of this book. The way that, like, you know, when your kids, blow up and they're losing their minds on things, the different ways that you need to control yourself and focus your own attention because, of what's going on in their head. And the way that they see you all the time. The way, like, if you do something that isn't right, how they notice that, they see that, and it turns their world upside down. Something that's so small, a criticism that you might make of your child that might stay with them for the rest of their life. It is just, I mean, I can't say enough about this book. We know what I think about the Endure book with Cam Hanes because we did that. But, this book and that book are the 2 best books I've read in probably the last 5 years for sure. It is awesome. Go check it out. I would love to have a conversation with Dr. Meeker. Brett, we've talked about this before. I mean, she's just such a with it person. She's got such great ideas, such great insight. And it's a book that every dad needs to read.
Yeah, she's super smart, super intelligent. All the words. And you know what I like most about her writing? Dude, she's super real and super honest. She cuts to the chase when it comes to statistics, when it comes to things, dude. She goes straight for the jugular. She doesn't mince words. She doesn't beat around the bush. It's straight up facts and straight up experience that she's had in all her years. Yep. And she's phenomenal. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and she's a pediatrician. That's what that's the doctor she is. She's a pediatrician. So she talks with kids. You know, she has the uncomfortable conversations with them about sex and about all these different things. You know, so she understands them. They communicate with her. And she's got such a vast experience and wealth of knowledge that she has, and she puts it into this book. And it's just, man, it really made me think about the things that I do every single day, and you know, how I approach parenting. And there's some things like, you know, kids are all different, right? And the way that I deal with Bryce is different than the way that I deal with Kendall, and that's okay. And, you know, understanding that about myself and realizing it. And that's why we said, read 10 pages every single day. Just read from a book that's making you better. You know, if we all just say, oh, we're great, we don't need anything, the world's not going to become a better place. So utilize these people that are out there. Dr. Meg Meeker is an incredible resource. Please pick up this book. You've got this, Unlocking the Hero Dad Within. That's the book this week.
Great book recommendation and great episode. I mean, episode 23. It's not Jordan. Wasn't the best of all time, but I mean, it was. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today. And take us on home, Dave.
Yeah, this was a great episode. Everybody, thank you for joining us. As always, please like, share, comment. We enjoy the feedback, so keep bringing it. Get out there, live the full force life, do some fun stuff with your kids, and we will talk to you soon.